tomorrow, which we can do, certainly. That's not a problem. In fact, I've got a million stuff right here. So then I start wandering on for, last second. I got some contacts, guests, and you start calling them up. Nobody answers their phone anymore. You ever notice this? I mean, everybody leave a message. And so if you're trying to book something with 3 minutes until your show, it can be a problem. But nevertheless, we do have Jerry Bonkowski coming on at 1 to talk about the race in Kansas. And he's coming on the right rev of speed, talking all things NASCAR. Who am I, you may wonder? If you don't know by now, boy, oh boy, you don't know who the most talked about sports talk show host in the market is. That's me, Marky Billson, your voice of choice for a new generation of Tri-City sports fans. The name of the program is Tri-City Sports Now. Guess what we do? We own the Tri-Cities on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. I think I'm up to like 3 parody accounts now. I think that when you're up to that, you know that you're touching some buttons. You know you're saying some things that needed to be said, and the sacred cows turn to hamburger and the like and all. Anyway, Jerry's going to be joining me at 1 o'clock. SoCon John Hooper, who normally joins me at 1:30, will not be joining me today. We'll push it back to tomorrow. And we actually were having a conversation yesterday about various things going on and various things in the SoCon. He actually was told me about Preston Parks. Remember him at the Citadel a couple of years ago, basketball player? Citadel was playing computer games, 100 to 100, And then couldn't get along with Duggar Bocom, I guess. Transfers to UT Martin. Well, now he doesn't like UT Martin, so he's transferring back to the SoCon to Samford and Scott Padgett. Boy, Scott, he puts together a whole new team every year, doesn't he? I mean, you got to in college basketball anyway. You got to do in any sport. But, I mean, it really seems like Padgett puts 5 new starters out every year, doesn't he? Anyhow, that's what we got on store today. I got a ton of stuff. Of course, you heard maybe Clay Travis talk about John Beilein. He's going to Michigan. We've got the playoffs. We've got, just so much stuff here. I've got even, we cannot seem to escape college basketball. We cannot seem to escape college basketball. Do not ask me why. But there's even a top 25 plus 1 poll that came out this weekend, sort of a projection. I thought that was intriguing. Of course, there's basketball trades that could come out. Try to get to baseball, but boy, that monologue. People who know me well know that baseball is my favorite sport. I allegedly played it in high school. I love the game. It's wonderful. And as I have said many times, to me, it appears like take the mustache off the Mona Lisa. They say and I mention this because here's the deal. Yesterday, English Premier League season ended. And I talk about this a lot, so I'm rehashing some of the things I've talked about here, but I believe this needs to be stated. You are aware that the English Premier League, I'm a child of the 80s. In the 80s, nobody talked about the English Premier League. That was non-existent. There was nothing there. You did not talk about that in the United States. And I think, though, that everybody knew that yesterday was the last game of the year, English Premier League. You're aware of it. We didn't show it this way because we had the Premier League on Sunday morning instead. And I mean, every channel that NBC had, they had a soccer game on. NBC Sports Network. Wait a minute, we've got the Golf Channel. Put soccer on it. They did it. CNBC, MSNBC with the most liberal coverage of the soccer game. Was it on Sci-Fi? I mean, was it? It was just, every possible channel it was on. And so you might know that Manchester City, not to be confused, They finished their season with 14 straight victories to edge Liverpool by a point to win the Premier League championship. I even saw newspaper columnists in the United States in the Premier League. I want you to understand that. They only have a regular season. You win a regular season, what's the significance in all this? I mean, I know what the World Cup is. I know what the Premier League is. Don't get me wrong. I've heard of Real Madrid. We talked about them once before. Here was SoCon John Hooper. But, you know, this is taking over. This is getting very, very popular. So I want to know some more, and it's new to me. I'm not going to deny that. By the way, I did play college soccer. I couldn't make the baseball team. They were starting up a soccer team. I walked on. Wound up leading the team in games played. Wasn't much of a team, though. But you see, there's no title game in the Premier. Manchester United has 17 million Manchester City. I'm sorry, Manchester City. Forgive me. We've all heard of Manchester United. Manchester City has 17 million Facebook followers. That's double what the New York Yankees have. It's double what the Dallas Cowboys and New York Yankees Facebook followers. You'll get what Manchester City has. That's it. But the world wanted to see it, or at least we were told they did. And expanding the playoffs destroys the regular season. If there is less interest in the regular season, then there is less interest in the sport. Now, by embarking on a 14-game winning streak to win the title, Manchester City has brought to American sports fans like myself memories of great baseball pennant races. Kind of like the Braves beating out the Giants last game of the year, 1993, you know. But now with the expanded playoff field, who was the last memorable? There were two game 163s, two tiebreaker games to win divisions. Every team that played in them made the playoffs. Who cared? Really, I mean, who cared? I was trying to think. They talk about the great pennant races of the wild card era. There aren't great pennant races of the wild card era. 2011, you had three big games to watch. On the last game of the year, the wild card, there was only one back then. It was all at stake. The Braves were involved. They collapsed. You remember in 2011. Where was the last? I mean, I realized to Braves fans that 93 is going to mean more than 2011. Braves win 93. If you were alive back then, or even if you weren't, you want the historical perspective. Go Rabbit Moranville and the 1914 Miracle Boston Braves. There you go. But over here, you have the Braves in 2011. What does that all mean? You follow what we're saying. So obviously, Braves fans, they are going to have the team that wins over the team that loses. They're going to take them. I get that, but there's more drama in 93. There's more finality. September is no longer about pennant races. It's about football season starting, where there's still some exclusivity to the postseason. By the time the baseball playoffs begin, they're an afterthought. And I hate to say that, but it's true. How much so? Well, consider this. Remember when both the league hockey games on NBC this past weekend than you did playoff baseball games on Fox last year? I want you to consider that. This is an era of cord cutting. Sports are the one thing that people demand to watch live and as they air. It is not, oh, let's check out on Hulu or the network website or whatever. We'll watch Modern Family when we want to, which I've done. Sports are the last appointment viewing left. So yesterday, every English Premier League game early in the morning was shown on American TV. Conclusion fans have come to when we're looking at the empty seats. While American sports try to emulate the Special Olympics, the Premier League crowns with certainty a real champion. It's based on the entire season, not just a few games. It isn't okay to finish second. You're a point behind Liverpool? Okay, you finish second. You get to stay in the Premier League. Unlike those other teams finishing last and next to last, they got to go to Division 2, and we'll bring up those two to the Premier League. I mean, you know, we understand that. You want to talk about playing for next year, Division 2 in the Premier League, yeah. I'm told by people in England the worst feeling in the world for a sports fan is your team drops to Division 2. I mean, it's wait in 2 years, you know, not wait till